So we're going over four walls. Four walls is the introduction, and it's the first thing taught to the new Pikiti student, because at this level you don't have the skills or ability to read what the other guy's doing. You're always behind on time unless you initiate the attack first. So when the attack's coming in, basically all we're doing is trying to interpose something between you and them and survive that initial attack. So if he comes in and feeds a 1 here, the way this is commonly taught in the Tri-V system is he throws a 1, I throw a 1. He throws a 2, I throw a 2. And we're just basically doing this. And so it's a good basic structure in terms of saving my life, okay? I can get it out there. At some point, the range changes, or the timing changes, where if he feeds a 1, I don't have time to come back and chamber back up to here. For whatever reason, I was down here and this is coming in. I don't have time to come up and try to bring this back out. So this is where the sort of core four walls blocking comes in. As he feeds a 1, I need to come up and meet that attack. The structure on this is a triangle. Like everything else in the Filipino martial arts, you're going to see these triangles come out. I'm right at the center of my strength, right on my center line. I've shifted away as he's come in. I created a wall. Okay, this way it should be pretty vertical. I don't want to be doing stuff like this where this is weakening and bringing this in. My left hand is right at the base of the wrist, where it's helping stop this hand from coming back this way against the arm. Okay, and it's providing the other wall of that triangle. It's not this way. It looks like this. Okay, and I'm almost punching this out. As you imagine that punch going to center line, here it's sort of the same thing. I'm punching this out and creating that wall. And so it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. As we do this, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's important to get behind the weapon. Obviously, I need to be behind it. With the blade, with the stick, it can bounce off of it and hit you again. It's not going to create much damage. You've taken the velocity from the weapon. With a blade, that assumption doesn't apply, and so you're going to see lots of hiding behind your own weapon. You're not going to see grabbing coming this way. That's usually coming off the stick-based systems, because there's all kinds of grabs you can get under that arm, but you really need the structure to make sure that this doesn't collapse on you. That's your most important thing. The other thing to note is that if you just send this out here and the guy angles it all, he's going to be picking up more. If he four walls blocks coming in here, and instead of your attacker sort of doing this on you, remember that your attacker is going to be angling, and so your own angle has to meet and mirror that assumption. If I'm coming in here, and he doesn't necessarily do a good job, that's available. Again, blade based, right? Stick, great. He's going to have a small bruise on his forearm and not going to slow him down at all. With the blade, that actually becomes a functional attack. So he has to make sure that when he stops me, that angle of deflection on this is enough to make sure that it's beyond that arm. And you'll see that with some systems are really tight with the stick. You're going to see this one's a little extended more out because you need that angle of deflection. The basic way we drill this is either using the 1 and 2 attacks against the high line. So it'd be simply 1, 2, and then 1, 2 against the low line. Think of your target as temple, knee, knee, as on the baseline attack. So if I'm feeding to Will, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so that's the first way of feeding it. It's a nice rhythmic 1, 2, 1, 2. Once you get that accomplished, shift into the next pattern of attacks, and this is actually a pattern that we're going to use later on in break in, break out as a different drill. But it looks like this: fluid 1, broken 2 to the knee, fluid 2 to the head, broken 1 to the knee, fluid, broken, fluid, broken, fluid, broken, fluid, broken, fluid, broken, fluid, broken. What we're trying to do here is set up a different defensive pattern, so that instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, you're now starting to double up your sides of attack. So the defense on this one's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're seeing that same mirror between these different sides because the 1 repeats coming back on this angle. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So if we feed that, yeah, do the attacks. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So that's working off that basic rhythm. Once you get comfortable with that setup, shift into 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 in terms of your attacks to give you an 8 series, a series of 8 attacks working these different angles. So he's going to do the 1 and 2 high. You feed it. So 1, 2, 1 and 2 low. 1, 2, fluid 1, broken 2, fluid 2, broken 1, and repeats back to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'd repeat. Actually, that last one's broken, and then it would start the series again. And that's just a simple introduction to 4 walls. Again, worst comes to worst, you're hiding behind your stick. And against an aggressive adversary, you may do this, you may have to do this, where you're being pressured and that's all you've got. You haven't had time to get offline. Maybe mentally, all you're thinking about is retreat and cover until you can get your bearings and shift offline and do something either, I guess, more aggressive isn't the right word, but a better opportunity. Against this kind of blocking only works so long, and baiting is going to screw it all up. Okay, as soon as he starts giving me broken attacks and out functioning, you know, and he starts feinting and working these different lines, you know, he could do, you know, like a broken one and then a broken one here, and then take the low line. That eats that up, you know, all the time. But that's that's just your ability to read what he's doing becomes, you know, critically important. Because if you don't do that, then you're sort of out of luck, you know, on this process. So anyway, 4 walls, like I said, one of the first things that should be taught in the Tri-V, again, this is just taught is 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3, 4 versus 4. Later, one of the reasons we're doing the more classic 4-wall structure is because later we will need these elements back in for both for other drills, but also for using at a closer range. There are going to be times when we are trapping or are blocking off these different ranges at I guess a more technically difficult level, and you need to have these foundation elements in there. So good, 4 walls. Thank you. Cool. 2, 3, 2, 3. Yeah, just shift away. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be really extended. It can be pretty tight here, as long as you've protected your own width of your leg. Okay. Good. Good.